All right, well, welcome back to the Brutus Interview Series. My name is JoJo Scanlon. I am the creator of Brutus. This series is all about interviewing the people who made Brutus happen, the cast, the crew, and that's it. I was leading it like there was something else. There's not. It's just those two. Today, I have with me the incredibly talented Mr. Will Brady. Will, how you doing?
My name's Brutus.
You're fired.
I know I am.
Fired. No one's seen it yet. No one gets the joke. No one gets it.
It's called a rewatch bonus, sir.
You're right. Everybody, just shut off the video. Come back when this comes out. Well, Will, you little ass. Thank you for coming on. Can you tell the people at home a little more about who you are and who your character is, even though you basically just all you said is the name, though. Give me more of a name.
Yes. Hi, my name is Will Brady. And for some reason, I chose to be a voice actor. And once upon a time, I saw a casting call for a little project called Brutus about a little boy who ain't so little, but he's very, 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 very socially anxious and shy. And I thought, this character is my spirit animal. No pun intended.
How do you feel about what's your actual spirit animal? Do you know? Have you done any research on?
Are we talking? Am I picking like a specific character? Am I picking a persona or something? Or
we'll take it. And it wasn't a furry thing, but if you want to go in a furry way, I mean, you totally. Let's start there. What are your thoughts on furries as a group, and what hotels do you think their conventions should be specifically at? Do you think a Marriott?
All I know is that. I live right down the road from Rosemont, Illinois, which is where Midwest Fur Fest happens every year. And I always try to avoid that area, not because I don't like them, just because oh my God, how many of these people are there? How are there so many of them? I can't drive down the street.
There's a lot.
And yet, you know what? They are enjoying their lives a lot more than you and me. They know who they are.
You know what? It's very clear they are enjoying their lives a lot more. And kudos to them. I've never harbored any bad will to furries. It would be weird if I did and then made this show. Mm-hmm. That would be very strange. Oh, excuse me. No, but I love the Rosemont, Rosemont Convention Center thing, because I used to go to Comic-Con out there when I still lived in Chicago. I went once and then never went again. But man, good for them. Good for the furries. But back on a real note, oh my God, there's so much we can talk about. For context, Will is not only he's the perfect casting for Brutus. When I imagined Brutus, it was Will. I went through so many auditions, and everyone did this same thing of he's a big guy, so big voice, and Will just did himself. For a lot of it was just him talking, and I'm like, that's it, baby. That's the one I want. And he really, I mean, as you've probably seen from clips and from trailers, he knocks it out the fucking park. He's incredible. We were talking a little bit before about, you were saying Brutus is he's a big boy. How similar are you to Brutus as a character? Are you similar at all, or is it very different worlds?
I really do not like how similar I am to him. So when it came to the issue of, how are you channeling this character? Because it's this kid is me. Except he's doing slightly better because he is getting invited to high school parties. I wasn't. So the whole thing about I'm no one there is going to like me. I get that. And yet there were parts of it that I was not totally just knowing offhand from experience, because my question has always been who are these people who get invited to parties but then they have social anxiety? Dude, you're still getting invited, bro. Take a second to realize other people ain't getting invited. That'll be the first step toward getting over it.
So what I'm hearing is, if we got you in a party, you're going to be Mr. Social Butterfly. You're going to be perfect. You're going to make all the friends. If I already
have positive attention upon me, it is so much easier. But if I have to go up to people and introduce myself, it's I can't advertise myself. That feels like narcissism.
Let's talk. I feel like this is becoming therapy. Let's talk a little more about that. Where do you think those feelings originated in you? But because I felt
I need
the same
everyone
thing,
watching
right?
to go out and vote for politicians who will give us universal health care so I can go to therapy, please.
Oh, what an interesting platform to take this on. Hey guys, thanks for coming to vote. I agree. I completely agree. But hey everybody, thanks for coming to Brutus.com. Make sure to vote for politicians who believe that you are a human being and you do deserve basic human rights.
I'm hanging on every word, waiting for you to say, okay, motherfucker, we're starting over from scratch because you keep ruining this.
We won't. And this is the thing you have to learn about Will as a person, is he so desperately wants to do stuff like this. Like, let's start over. Let's do it again. And we're never gonna. We're literally never gonna, because every take is fucking perfect. There's so much like Brutus stuff and recordings and going on tour and things that made me laugh so much. Not to throw you under the bus, but one of my favorite stories that I don't recount like in great detail, but I'll still bring up occasionally is I'm not going to say the festival we were at, but we were at a festival and we were in the screening room for a very long time, to the point where we were all tired. And by we, I mean it was you and me and some other people from the crew. But we didn't want to go back to the hotel, even though you were down the street. You didn't want to go back. We're watching a movie. I turn to the side and Will is fully asleep. And I have to like get everybody's shoulders to the other side of me, like, hey, Will's sleeping. Should I wake him up? And they're like, no, just leave him. And I got this amazing photo of him sleeping. But that's just, you know what? That's just who Will is. He's so honest that you can't not do that. I think even if we took you to counseling and therapy, which you're a Midwest boy, you probably wouldn't go. But even if we got you in
from
there,
the Midwest, we can't not tell the truth at every conceivable possible opportunity.
You're right. We can't. Look, not only are we always going to tell the truth, but it's going to get us in trouble. It's going to get us in a lot of trouble. How often have you lied to a therapist, Will? How often does that happen?
Have I lied to a therapist? Not often enough.
Really? Okay.
Okay, I had a therapist for a while, but then I like looked close on his business card and it's like, what does D-Min mean? Oh, his background isn't in psychology or psychiatry, nothing. He's a minister and he's doing this like as a side gig. Okay, then. I'm not going to go to him anymore. Bye, business card.
I didn't even know that was a thing. That feels almost like a church and state thing where it's like you can't do, but I guess
it wasn't like he was sanctioned by the state of Illinois. He was just a therapist. So like independent, I guess they would call him. Not a bad guy, but it's like once I figured that, I was like, this feels like I should be going to somebody a little bit more qualified.
I'm not talking smack on therapy at all. If it works, go. Please. We need more mentally stable people. But as you can see, the two of us are not mentally stable. And you guys have seen the other episodes. I can normally keep it together. I can't keep it together with Will because he brings a little goofy boy.
I bring out your worst side.
You do. Yes, you know what?
We are pro therapists unless you're with BetterHelp. We are anti-sponsored by them. We're actually stealing money from them. And then we're giving it to the poor because that is what, going back to furries, that's what Robin Hood wants to do.
You're right. We are a Robin Hood guerrilla warfare organization.
Guerrilla warfare.
Start running around the room.
Jesus Christ.
Oh my God. Well, that's a good question. I mean, you brought up the casting to go back to the reason why we're here.
When do we start our regular podcast?
Never. I'm not. You think I'm gonna get on a call with you? I just for people at home. Obviously, there's no way you would have known this, but I accidentally double booked this with Will, and Will is the king of sending like passive aggressive emails. So I'm like, Will, I'm so sorry. I double booked. I gotta reschedule. Can we do like an hour from now? And he said, if that's what it will take. And then a period at the end.
You didn't have to interpret that as passive aggressive.
But I naturally was it supposed to be something else?
I mean, there have been studies done showing that, like, if we read something in text form, we will always assume the worst tone and intentions. That's like a study that's been done multiple times. So
it's true. Yeah, I've noticed that. Like, if I text someone with a period at the end, normally I use emojis and all these things, but if I text someone with a period at the end, it's almost like me being like, I'm going to break up with you. We are going to meet and I am going to tell you I hate you. Like it's so serious. My brain just naturally goes there, but that is the magic of Will Brady. That's the magic. So back to what I was saying.
Have we gotten any questions out of the gate yet?
We have. We talked about furries. We talked about probably something else. I don't know, dude. Going back to, well, I mean, that's the funny thing about Brutus as a concept and as a show is it's kind of just a bunch of friends hanging out and recounting stories. Like, I try and write with the goal of like, if someone couldn't tell this story, it's not going to make sense. Because you could probably, if I told you, please don't do it, because I know you will. But if I said like, hey, from Brutus's perspective, what happened in the pilot, you would tell the story, and it would make total sense, you know? And so that's such a crucial part of Brutus. And that's why I want to do this, because like, I want to have a conversations with the cast and show everyone who everyone is. Like, that's such an important part. I am going to ask a real question. You can't sidetrack me with some bullshit. When you were looking at the casting, because you said you found the casting for a little show, what were your first impressions on Brutus as because I think you only tried out for Brutus, I think.
Yeah.
So what was your impression of Brutus as a character, and how has that changed now that you've actually we've done the pilot, you've experienced the character at the end of it? Like, what is your before and after of Brutus as a character?
As a character, when I first saw the casting call, I thought, okay, this might be a bit on the like cliche generic side. Oh, he's got social anxiety. It's another show about someone who's awkward and they learn to come out of their shell. And after having seen how the pilot plays out, I still think that he is definitely going to come out of his shell eventually. It would be cruel if the story didn't go that direction, but I don't think it's going to be as like PBS cutesy straightforward as that. Like, he's going to falter. He might backslide before he gets better, as most people do. There's a lot of him that I share with him, and there's a lot that I have to like get in his headspace for. So he's definitely more than a caricature, that's for damn sure.
And you know,
and also growing up in a house where my parents smoked inside the house, he's probably the only one who my voice can match like visually. So,
well, so that's where it comes from. Abusive parents who smoke around their children. So what I'm hearing is I can only cast children from Chicago in the 1970s. That's what I'm hearing.
How old do you think I am, my dude?
95 and counting.
I wish I could count.
That's right. That was something I learned on tour. Will is not only illiterate, but does not understand numbers, which is funny because as you see right there, it's Will BR80. And anytime we ever talk, he goes, you know, if you read it out loud, it sounds like Will Brady. And he gives me this like shit-eating grin, like I'm the smartest boy on the planet. But Will, I love you. You great.
I know you
great. So I knew this episode was going to be a goofball one. I like what you said about like going into it. It seemed almost like I can't look at you and not smile. That it's like cliche, like oh, it's another show about a guy coming out of his shell. And it's funny because I'm just looking up here so I don't have to look at your ugly face. As I worked, yeah, you bet. Because I
didn't hear enough of that in high school.
Let's talk about high school for you. How because we talked. I mean, it's interesting that you said you had to get in the headspace, and earlier you said that you have a lot of similarities to him. In high school, would you say you were like Brutus, or was it like? Obviously, you did, as you said, you didn't get invited to parties, so we can't really do anything about that. But what was your high school experience like?
High school was a cavalcade of when I started, it was like, you know what? Fine, I am not cool. I'm just going to accept this. I'm going to embrace my uncoolness, and I'm going to make it everybody else's problem. Then I eventually got comfortable with that, and then it's like, yeah, I can be myself, and people might like that. They might not. eventually, toward the end of high school, I became like known as the funny guy who would say ridiculous things in class. Still not someone who they would want to invite to hang out on the weekend, but whatever.
I got really sad. I'm so sorry. I feel like I made you re-experience something really bad.
You can edit this out if you want to, but
no, there's no editing with this show. It's just I put a cool title card, and that's kind of it. No, I mean, but that's kind of how my high school experience was too. Like I never really got invited to parties, but I had friends who got invited to parties, and by the grace of God, were like, I want you to come with me, and so I would go, and it was kind of like Nikki G dragging Brutus to the party, where it's like I'm not really a guest in this space, but I'm going to do my best to like make the most of it because I don't know if I'm going to be back here. And I love how in the pilot, Brutus doesn't immediately realize that. He's just like, I don't want to be here. Everything about him is, please God, please, because he is not, as a character, wishing he was going to parties. He's wishing he was at home watching his favorite show, which when you see the pilot, you shall learn. You shall learn and see, but you came back like we told you to, so welcome. You know what happens. Man, yeah, high school is so weird. High school is a very difficult time for a lot of people.
If I can say that, though, he did learn that lesson a lot more earlier before I did, that, like, yeah, if you get invited to a social event, it might be awkward, but it's better to be there than to not be there. Granted, he has to get dragged kicking and screaming there, but yeah, I didn't learn that lesson till much later than most people do. Another thing that my psychologist finds very interesting, but
your psychologist sounds like a terrible person, and I think you should stop seeing him. I think you should send him this video.
I'm talking about a different person now, actually.
Oh, this isn't the minister guy? This is a different...
No, this is like a doctor who's a woman. Women can be doctors too these days, JoJo Scanlon.
What does that have to do with me? Why?
And my like debriefing for my screening was supposed to be in April, but then she like went on vacation or something, and now they can't schedule me because like they just can't find a time that works for me. So I'm still waiting. But the way that she was talking, it's like, okay, you clearly think I got something, but you can't say it legally yet. I see that look on your face.
We're really learning a lot about Will in this episode, you guys. This is stuff I don't even know. And this is great. This is making great content. What's your favorite? Who's your favorite psychologist in history, and why is it Sigmund Freud?
Why is it Sigmund Freud? Why did you pick it? Can you name another one?
Ooh, great question. No, I don't think so. Wait, I get philosopher and psychologist confused very often, mainly because I don't fully understand, because they kind of do the same thing, but they're not. Like, one of them is doing it and they have a medical degree, and one of them is just a crazy guy who's like, the earth is flat. Back to Brutus. God, this is probably going to be the episode with editing. It's just going to have hard cuts with bleeps, like had to cut that out, had to cut that out, had to cut that out.
This was too depressing. This would put him in prison.
This would put both me and Will in prison. We would be in the same prison. Have you ever gotten arrested or like legally in trouble ever?
Man, I'm too smart to get caught when I do things.
I'm glad I cut to the single cam for that. That was really impactful. So have you ever gotten in trouble for like anything ever?
Or you're just like with my parents or with teachers and stuff?
I don't know, dude. Run with the question. Think about it.
Of course, I've gotten in trouble like for things, for like doing things at work that people didn't want me to do. Like, yeah, I'm going to put some muffins on the counter. Oh, you can't do that. That's a health code violation. Oh, I'm going to correct the teacher who keeps saying Newfoundland instead of Newfoundland. And then she's like, William, you should stop doing that. Do you understand what you're doing? I'm like, no, stop correcting me. It's taking away from my authority as a teacher. Like, okay, that's a great lesson for the kids. Yeah, yes, I've gotten in like trouble with like authority, just not the authority.
Okay. Yeah. So you've gotten in trouble with like sects, but not the popo. Yeah, which is Honestly,
I've
I don't know
almost
why.
gotten speeding tickets, but I always tell them I'm driving fast because I really need to go to the bathroom. And they seem to find that relatable. And I'm an actor, so I can act like it, except half the time I'm not even joking.
And so, okay, so unpack that a little bit. You get pulled over. You tell the cop says you were. How fast are you normally going? Like 10 over, 20 over?
I don't think it's a wise decision to answer this question.
You know what? I think you should, and you should say it directly into the mic on my chest. How fast do you normally? We'll move on. We'll move on past that. Back to, well, kind of on brand with Brutus. Oh my God,
I'm biting my tongue so hard.
Yeah, you better. You know what? Most of the time, I'm like, I have a script. I'm going off it. We're just like talking. So far, I don't think we have actually hit a single question on this. And I think I was talking before and just never finished the thought. And we just started talking about your issues with power. But you know what? This is at the core
Fight the power.
of what. Fight the power. Fight the power. Chuck D once interacted with a Brutus Instagram post. I'm 90% sure. Yeah, because I reposted something with Public Enemy, like a Public Enemy song. And he was like looking at all the stories. So he knows not only that I exist, but I have a show. Would I want Chuck D on? Yes. If I had the chance to get both him and Flava Flav, would I do it? Yes, I'd like both of them on. I would really. You're aware of the bit I'm doing, right? You know the band Public Enemy?
I know of them, yeah.
Okay, I'm just making sure because I've learned people don't, and it concerns me in the political climate we're in. People don't know Fight the Power, one of the greatest songs of all time.
They're the ones who did the crossover with Anthrax, right?
They did, yeah.
Or is that just Chuck D?
I think that was just Chuck D, but it was like unofficially. No, wait, I think Flava Flav was a part of the Anthrax crossover. I love doing bits like that. And that's the problem with Will, ladies and gentlemen, is sometimes I can't get shit done because we will be doing something, whether it's recording for Brutus or we're at a film festival together. And you know what? Really quick anecdote. Will is a real trooper because he showed up for almost every screen. I think you did show up for just about every screening on the tour that was on the one we did. Like, we went to Atlanta, South Carolina, Fort Lauderdale, and you showed up for all of them. And that was really, really touching because I kind of sent a blanket email to everyone being like, hey, here's the ones we're getting into. You can ration them up if you want to. Not everyone has to show up to all of them. I get it. It's expensive. I'm going to go to all of them, but you don't have to. And Will was like, no, I'll make it to as many as I can. Like, why not? And it was nice knowing consistently, no matter where I went, wherever I showed up, Will was going to be there with some like anecdote about how hard it was to get in or how bad traffic was. It was insane how many times we would get in a car together and he would just be like, yeah, no, traffic up here was real bad. I took but it was just like, I had never been on tour before. And it was really comforting just like having a friend to do everything with. Because even though we didn't really go on any big adventures except for Fort Lauderdale after, was it Fort Lauderdale or was it? Yeah, it was Fort Lauderdale afterwards because there wasn't really an after party. We went and had our own. So we went on an adventure like that, but most of the places we went to, everything was pretty contained. So we hung out there and just, didn't really adventure, but that was fun getting drunk and running around Fort Lauderdale and being like
in the pouring rain as we all got trench foot.
Oh my God, it was the worst. I still have the full fit that I wore. The suit, I wore a full suit to all the screenings. After that night, it looked like it was ruined. And I was like, oh, when I get back to Vegas, I'll figure it out. I don't know. Got back, took it to a dry cleaner. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I don't even want to tell you the story. Just, can you do something with it? And you're like, we'll try. And they fixed it. And I still have the suit and it's great. And the shoes too. The shoes were not bad, but that was a bad night. And even like you and Milan both hung out with me because my hotel lost power. And I was staying on like the 6th or 7th floor, so it was a lot.
You were on the 10th floor.
I was on the 10th, really?
Yes, you were.
All right, I was on. I'm glad
they moved you to the 6th.
That was it. I was on the 10th, and they moved me down, and so I had to take. We're not even going to get into why they moved. It was bad, and I don't want to recount that story because I'm still healing from it. But TLDR, all the power shut off, and I had to climb like 10 flights of stairs. You're right, it was 10 because it was a lot of stairs I had to take because it was like the little like up half a flight, and then you go on a little platform and up the other half, and I was like, I went up 20 of those. But when the power went out at my hotel, Milan and Will both stayed with me until it was okay. And it was just like such a weird moment where I was like, I came up with this show just when I was living in LA, and now I am sitting with 2 of the leads from it in a hotel after a screening we had, and I'm waiting to get back into my hotel room where all of my things are because this is the last stop on our tour. Like it was such a weird, surreal moment. And I think with anyone else, I would be miserable. But with you and Milan both, like you guys, the entire production and the entire trip, I couldn't stop laughing. You both just made me lose my shit. So I'm so thankful y'all were a part of this.
That's the least I could do. And also I didn't want to go out in the rain.
You didn't. And I remember we had to wait for your Uber for like a long...
And I was like 3 hotels down, so I felt like an asshole getting an Uber to go a block. But I'm not going to walk in the rain for 20 minutes in the pitch dark.
And we were also staying like, and it's going to sound like a flex, but it's not. We were staying at like a beachside property. Yeah. So you would have had to go over this bridge and walk on. And I was like, please don't. I'd rather you just take an Uber. It would make me feel a lot safer. And I'm glad you did because Jesus Christ, that was some of the... And then, well, the whole trip it was raining. And so we couldn't go to the beach. We were going to do a beach thing and we couldn't. Then the next day, totally fine. And we even talked like,
perfect.
We were like, should we go to the beach real quick? And we were like, no, let's just go home. I want this to be over. Let's please. I just want to be back in my bed. And what a fun way to kind of end that trip. And I waited.
I have never had more of a staring into the abyss and the abyss stares back moment than walking along that beach in the pitch black as there is like 40-mile-per-hour wind smacking me in the face. And it's just darkness. No stars, no boats, no nothing. Just the void.
Literally the void. It's devout of anything.
I was standing on the edge of the continent and it was just me and eternity.
It was even eternity. But yeah, where is it? It's not coming. I'm telling you right now, it's not. That performance was good, though. You staring into the abyss. I remember that because I think I checked in. And I was like, "Are you okay? What's going on right now?"
You're like, who did I cast as my Brutus?
I cast a sociopath, and he's driving me to the airport tomorrow. I think I'm scared. What? Can't even. What was your experience with the Film Fest tour? Did you like it? Did you have fun?
No, it was fun getting away from Chicago for a while and going to places I would never have a reason to go, like Columbia, South Carolina.
But it was fun.
An honor to even... Like, I was in a place and people were paying money to watch a thing I was in, and then they like came up to me after, and you were very good in them. Like, oh my God, they like me.
My favorite memory from South Carolina specifically was that was our first award that we won in person. And we both, neither of us believed it. We both got up, walked to the front, and they were like, speech, speech, speech. And both of us were like, I don't. And so I said some bullshit, and I don't even want to remember what I said because it was bad. But I handed the mic to you, and you said something. I don't even remember what you said, but I remember being like, wow, this is really happening right now. Oh my God. Like you gave like an Oscar level speech of like, you know what? We did this. We made this happen. We were out here. And I'm like, that's Brutus. That's nothing like what Brutus is like, but thank God he's not right now. Because
that's who Brutus is going to grow into long after the events of the series are done.
That was one of the questions on the list. Where do you see the character? You got the email. Don't be like you didn't. You got the email.
Sir, it's called sarcasm. You're supposed to play off of it.
The problem with you is I hear the sarcasm and I get defensive. I'm like, Will, you shut up.
I'm too good of an actor. My sarcasm sounds genuine.
He is, and from being on the road with you for so long, I've lost touch on what is the joke voice and what is not, because everything was just.
I personally tarnished your relationship with reality.
You did. You know what? Because there were so many things where like we were driving in a car or we're like talking and you just tell me a story and I'm like, Will, what the fuck was that? What? And I'm not going to recount any of them because same thing, we'd have to censor it. But there were so many things of like, Will, I don't know how to tell you this. I am technically still your boss. You shouldn't be telling me these things. Please do not. Please, baby boy. Where do you see get back to it? Where do you see Brutus as a character evolving in the show? Do you have a clear image, or is it like
I do have a clear image because you told me where the series goes? But
I swear to God, if you say you are still on an NDA,
I know I am.
Swear to God, Will.
I do think that he will get a happy ending, but I think he is going to have to go through hell to get it. Like, if you want to, I'm tearing up from laughing. Jesus Christ. If you want the rainbow, you got to deal with the rain. And he's going to go through a rainstorm like we did in Florida. Is that vague enough?
That's vague enough where I think like however many years from now when the series is done, people will come and be like, he knew the ending. He knew what was going to happen.
Events will transpire and characters will interact in response to them.
Do you think it would be fucked up if I ended Brutus with him at the big horses we saw? At the evil horses?
Oh,
do you remember?
Like the statues outside the horse track?
Yeah. We were driving to this mall. The whole trip, Will is like, there's this mall in Miami that is awesome.
I told you about it once, and you're like, boy, I'm going to teach you how to dress fashionably for once in your pathetic life.
Oh,
I'm like, God. I can't say no to that.
Well, you make it sound like I'm so evil. Like I'm
You make it sound like I complain a lot.
And you know what? Because they're both true.
And that's why we're perfect for each other.
And that's why we love each other. You don't see we're in the same room, like holding hands. We're like, oh man. No, we went to this mall, and on the way over, there's these massive, like Cleopatra set level giant horse statues, and they looked evil. They looked like they were protecting Fort Lauderdale from something. So Brutus ends there. Brutus gets on the horse and it flies away, and it says the end? Question mark?
If that's what your legacy to be, man, I can't tell you how to make your own art.
You can't, but boy, do you give me input sometimes, and I love it. I love it a lot. Will, I'm terrified to ask you more questions because we've already talked so much, and I don't know how much of it is usable. I think a lot of it is. Honestly, really quick.
Yes.
Thank you for doing this, for not just the interview, but also the show, because you brought something to the project that I was so scared it wasn't going to have, which is authenticity. Because a lot of times when I've done projects, like you cast people for a role, and of course, as actors, you're always like, yeah, I can do that. But sometimes you don't feel it. And I was telling Alexia a little bit, one of the biggest things that I would always get whenever we would take Brutus places is people would be like, oh, Brutus reminds me of my brother, or oh, Brutus reminds me of my best friend. And it occasionally would really make me tear up because when I was writing the character, it reminded me of so many people in my life. And when I heard your audition and we started talking and working together, like it was just clear that like, and I didn't even know this was a thing, but like I heard Brutus's voice, but I didn't hear his voice. And then when you talked, I was like, that's what he's supposed to sound like. And it's exciting going into this next chapter of like, where's Brutus going next, where there are lots of questions about like the future of it. And I really hope you get to be a part of it. Cause I do, like when I write Brutus, I'm literally basically just writing you. You are essentially Brutus. So thank you. And I remember when we were recording that there were lots of things of like, this project feels different. It doesn't feel like this is just going to go dead in the water. Like this is going to be something. So thank you for having faith and still showing up, even when I accidentally double book and all the things. Like just thank you, because it really.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. Because you brought everybody brought an energy to it, not just you, but while I've got you, like you just did so much for it. So thank you so much. I'm going to ask you a difficult question.
I'm going to try so hard to take it seriously.
No, you have to. I swear to God, if you don't take this last one seriously, I don't know how much material we got. We could get nothing, and you gotta. Hold on, I gotta find the one question you told me I couldn't say. How do you navigate the fine line between pushing boundaries of comedy and ensuring that content remains sensitive and respectful?
I knew you were going to ask me that question. I just had a feeling.
Yeah. We better have a good answer.
Here is why it's a problem. Because the first rule of comedy, they say, is don't punch down. Why does that need to be a rule? Because people will punch down anyway, and people will find that funny. And they will find it funny. They will even find it, dare say, brave. This person is not afraid to break taboos. I like them. They got confidence to them. It wouldn't be an issue to say don't punch down if people didn't enjoy doing it and then benefit from doing it. So when it comes to like how to make something respectful, it really just takes a level of like stopping and thinking and being like, okay, one, selfishly, what do I want my legacy to be? Do I want to be the person who punches down, or the person who punches up, or the person who just punches laterally and says, this is who we as a world are? And then also just like thinking through like, how might this come across? How should this come across? As they say in comedy school, which I literally went to, which is why I'm unemployable, a risk of comedy is always going to be that people just won't get it and they will interpret it in the wrong way, and then you have to deal with that. That's just an art thing in general. The thing that the audience gets from your art is vastly more important than whatever you decide to put into it, death of the author and all that. So keeping it respectful, be respectful. And you know what? Sometimes you might think, why am I doing this? It's good to know your own perspective and what are you trying to say. If you can sleep at night with what you're saying, fine. Free country, free speech, go for it. It's your legacy that you're playing with. Who do you want to be known as? As a comedian, as an artist? What is your point of view and what is your message?
That was beautiful, but it did take me every fiber of my being to not pull up the Oscars Wrap It Up song halfway through that. You see what I mean with the speech? That, like, for people at home, like that Will stepped up and said this beautiful ass thing. Look at that. That was amazing, dude. Thank you so much. I got nothing else. I can't. We got to end it on that. That was beautiful.
I think you want to keep going, but you're just trying to exercise restraint.
I am, because I know if I keep going, I'm gonna dig a grave that I can't get out of. In terms
mine
of
or yours or both?
Both. They're next to each other, and
it has holding hands,
so we can hold hands. Have you seen that? Do you know of that grave where it's like two people and they were buried in two different cemeteries, and so they have a headstone that's them holding hands across a fence?
Oh,
yeah. Take that home with you, everybody, and really, really think about what Will said.
Think about being dead.
You should. You should. Will, before you say anything else that will scare away all the fans we've gotten, where can people find you? What's going on with you? Like,
you want my address?
Yeah, go ahead, and I'm gonna put you full screen. Go ahead and tell everybody your address real quick.
All right, so I'm gonna pull up Google Maps on my phone, and then you can just see where it geolocates. Okay. You haven't done this, are you?
No, I'm waiting. I'm
okay. So what's this on the screen? Make sure to follow Will at thisiswillbrady.com and cyberbullying me into updating it. I need my headshots that actually look presentable. And I have a YouTube channel that has 81 subscribers. I'm only 19 away from 100, and it's been like that for years. So when are scientists going to give us 6 more hours in a day so I can make videos? Is that what I need to do with my life instead? Do I need to be the scientist who gives us more time?
I think you do. And I think you also need to budget your time. Budget your time a little better. One thing I will say about Will, that last note that it made me realize, Will very often puts himself down just for random things. And it breaks my heart because he is one of the most talented comedians I know.
Oh,
he's insanely. I do, because it's part of my job is to hype you up, and you like to not hype yourself up. But for real,
that's because I don't trust people who have self-confidence. I'll decide if you're a good person. Other people don't tell me that you are.
Okay. All right. Okay, Will. All right, Will Brady. WillBR80.com/furry. Thank you, everybody, for coming. That's it.
We never finished my spirit animal. Oh my God, what's my spirit animal?
Oh my God. Okay, you had a whole...
I've had people tell me I've got the voice of a grizzly bear. Does that check out?
I can see that. I can see you in a grizzly bear furry suit. It was a furry thing. I got you. It was all a question to see what furry you were. I got you.
Oh, and it only took us 45 minutes.
It did. And you know what? That's okay, because that's the journey we went on. And thank you, everybody, for coming with us on that journey. You can check out more Brutus stuff at Brutus the Show. I see Will's little tiny face down there laughing. Go ahead and check us out at brutusshow.com. More interviews, Q&As, all the good stuff. Pilot releasing summer 2024. Thank you again, Will, for being here, and we will see you guys next time. Please make lots of furry art of Will and send it to his email.
Just remember, Brutus is under 18.
You're right. Thank you for that.
Keep it respectful.
Keep it. No, I meant art of you as a bear, not Brutus.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. Oopsie.
I thought you meant you. I said make art of Will as a furry.
Okay.
Brutus is not Will. You have to separate. Sure, and you know what? Look at the ego on this guy. He thinks he's Brutus. He thinks in his head he's Brutus, and he's not. He's Will Brady.
I'm not Brutus and Julius Caesar.
And you know what? That's the point. That's the real spoiler. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.